Okay? When I'm done, we'll talk about that. It's alright. Take care.
My neighbor.
Neighbor!
Good afternoon.
How you doing?
Neighbor, we are fine. No. How are you doing now?
We thank God. How's your husband?
He's fine.
Baba, how are you?
Say hello to uncle.
Look at me
Say hello to
now.
uncle now. Yeah, say hello to uncle.
Give me a five. Big boy. God bless you.
Nepa brought below.
Nepa again. How much is it?
You know how they do this thing now. Always increasing and increasing and increasing.
How much?
About 27,000.
27?
Yes. For this past month, I'm coming.
27?
Yeah.
Wow, it's okay.
Yeah.
When I come, I'm going somewhere now.
No
When I come, we'll talk about it.
Alright, have a nice day.
Thank you. Greet your husband for me, okay?
Bye-bye.
It's alright.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Let me give you eyebrows. Let me give you eyebrows.
Neighbor.
My neighbor.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine.
How's the family?
Fine, we bless God.
It is well.
Then what happened? I was hearing some gunshots yesterday night all over.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
It was just a vigilante doing their usual. That's what they said to be doing. This is just for security reasons.
Okay.
There's no problem.
All right, we'll see later now.
Have a wonderful day. Yes, sir. God bless you. Wow. Everyone needs a neighbor. No one is strong enough to be neighborless. An anonymous quote says, nobody is rich enough to do without a neighbor. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 from verse 9 to 12 made it clear that to be neighborless is to be vulnerable. Who is a neighbor? In a general term, a neighbor is one who lives near or around other people. Going by this term, everyone has a neighbor because everyone lives with or around other people. But let's be realistic. Who really is my neighbor? In Luke chapter 10 from verse 30 to 37, Jesus told a story. He talked about a Jew who was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he happened to fall into the hand of armed robbers. We're made to understand that this man was brutally injured and dispossessed of all his possessions. Now, in that his unconscious state, a priest, that is one of his countrymen, came by. He looked at him and passed the other way and went his way. Not long after that, a Levite came. He also looked at him and passed the other way. And finally, we are made to understand that a Samaritan came by. And we all know that Samaritans and the Jews have nothing in common, but this was the one that came to his rescue. He took care of him, administered a first aid, and took him to the nearest hospital. He paid the bill, asked those in charge to take care of this man, and that when he comes back the next day, whatever extra bill that needs to be paid, he will pay it. And at the end of the story, it was agreed by both Jesus and those who listened to him that the real neighbor of this man was not his countrymen, but was the stranger that came to his rescue at his time of need. You see, my friend, your neighbor Your true neighbor could be, but not necessarily the person next door, across the street, or down the lane. Living in the same house or sleeping in the same room could be, but might not necessarily make you neighbors. If the person next door needs the help you could render, but you look the other way, you are not a neighbor. Don't quote me wrongly. When I say help, I am not necessarily referring to financial assistance, although in some cases it could apply. To understand me, refer to the scripture I quoted just a moment ago. True neighborship is not in the multitude of those who live with or around you, but in the quality of them. Neighborship makes us strong. Your neighbor is your security. Your neighbor is your defense. Your neighbor could be to you the thin line between death and life. Be yourself, but never be neighborless. What I mean is this: you can choose to be on your own, which in some cases is safer, but never be alone. Live in such a way that the day you are pressed, you can easily call out for help without a feeling of guilt or shame. Your neighbor should be free to reach out to you without any restraint in the days of your trouble. Your neighbor is your first aid. I want to share with you a true life story. It happened to me. I captioned the story, The Burning Beans. Some years back, that was 2009, I was a youth corps member serving in Gombe State. I served in FGC Beliwi. There's one of these my friends, her name is Josephine. We're so close, a very good friend of mine, and one day she did something that annoyed me. It wasn't something too serious, but I was really offended, and I got angry with Josephine to a point where I said, never have anything to do with me all the days of our stay here till we leave this place. Don't come near me. I went further to say, even if you see me in the room sleeping and the house is burning, don't wake me, go your way. I said so. Be careful. Not long after that, just let's say less than 2 weeks after that, myself and my roommate Ugochukwu, we came back from fellowship that night, and it was late. We were hungry. We needed to eat beans, so we decided to boil beans. Some of them boiled beans and went to sleep. We slept, and this bean began to burn. It burnt until the pot became red, and we stay in a little safe corner. Our stove is by the window. While this beans was burning and the pot had become red, the whole house was filled with smoke, and we were sleeping. The smoke alone would have killed us. And at about 10, this lady was going back to her house from where she went to, and she perceived the smell of something that was burning, and she traced it to our house. She looked through the window and saw Ugochukwu and I sleeping or maybe dying, and then she saw through the window and saw the burning beans. The beans was completely burned, and the pot was red already. And she remembered what I told her. Josephine walked away. She walked away, but before she could reach her house, you see, the neighbor, how do I put it? Is it neighborliness in her came alive, and she couldn't imagine me burning to death in my sleep. And she came back and knocked at the door, and we woke up from there, and we saw what happened. The whole place was black, thick black with smoke. And who rescued us? The one I told never to come near me, the one I told not to wake me even if I'm sleeping in a burning house. And when she rescued us, she left back to her house, and when we have put everything in order, I went to her house. I saw her crying. She was weeping. I had to plead with her. I asked for mercy. Why am I telling you this story? You see, your neighbor could be to you the thin line between life and death. So be very careful. how you relate to your neighbor. Everyone needs a neighbor. Make yourself neighborly. Make those around you know they have a neighbor in the neighborhood, even if all that connects you is just pleasantry. Settle your differences amicably. If you want to have friends, make yourself friendly. If you want to enjoy the benefits of neighborship, make yourself neighborly. I ask again, are you a neighbor? Are you a neighbor? Wow. These are my boys. How are you? Yeah, I have something for you. Where's your mom?
It's so good.
You've not even seen inside.